This is the brand new LG QNED Mini-LED 86 TV. Bit of a mouthful, but also one heck of a TV. And if you're after a big screen with fantastic image quality, but perhaps you can't quite stretch your budget to a flagship LG OLED TV, then these QNED TVs are definitely worth considering. It combines a mini LED backlight, a quantum dot layer, and LG's own nanocell filter to give you the best possible image quality out of a LED LCD TV. And a big thank you to LG for sending out this whopper of a 75-inch TV and also partnering with me on this video. And if you fancy checking this guy out, I'll leave a link in the description below. So these 2023 QNEDs get LG's latest Alpha 7 Gen 6 4K AI processor. We also get a much improved stand with this new model, as well as updated WebOS 23 software, which includes this nifty new personalized picture wizard, so it can create a custom profile that suits you. So we've had these LG QNEDs for a couple of years now, and it's short for Quantum Dot Nanocell. Now you have your regular basic LED LCD TVs that you could buy for a few £100. Then above that you've got LEDs that feature a mini LED backlight and maybe a quantum dot layer, a little bit better, a little bit more expensive. And then above that, at the tip top of non-OLED TVs, you've got these LG QNEDs that add that nanocell filter at the front. So basically the best kind of TV you can get without going up to OLED. And it's really a combination of these layers that gets you the best image quality. The mini LED backlight boosts brightness and also massively improves the contrast thanks to much better local dimming. Then the quantum dot layer boosts brightness and filters the light to give you more vivid and more accurate colors. And then we have that LG nanocell layer, which uses nanoparticles to filter unwanted light for purer and even more accurate colors. And it can also help enhance details in the scene. Basically, it's the filter that filters the filter, I think. Either way, LG reckon QNED is the next gen QLED. And first impressions? Well, it's a pretty big TV, so you can get a much bigger screen without paying quite as much money. You'll also see we have this new stand. This actually replaces the crescent stand that we've had on the last couple of years of nanocells, and I really like this because it's much easier to fit a soundbar here. You can actually adjust the height of this. There's two different options around the back, so you can have your screen above your soundbar, and also for an LED LCD TV, with a big screen like this, it's a completely flat back, so you can wall mount it and it'll be nice and close to your wall. Not quite as flush as their gallery OLEDs, but not bad at all for a TV like this. And everything about this new metal stand just feels more premium, more high-end, and it does a really good job at not making the TV too wobbly, even though this is a pretty big size. And around the back, you can actually route the cables through the back of the stand to keep them nice and tidy and hidden away. So a nice design upgrade with this new stand. Now around the back, we have 4 HDMI ports, 2 of which are the highest spec 2.1, great for your PC and games console, so you can get up to 4K 120 that way. Although one of them is the eARC, which is what you want to use if you're going to plug in a eARC soundbar or speaker system. So it's a bit annoying that that does take up one of those faster ports, but you do also have 2 regular HDMI 2 ports as well for 4K 60. So 4 in total, 2 2.1, and also an RJ45 Ethernet port if you want to get the fastest, most reliable internet, which you may want to do if you're going to do some game streaming on this, because this is a pretty good gaming TV in its own right, and with apps like GeForce Now, you can actually stream games directly to this without needing a console or a PC. 2023 QNEDs also get their latest Alpha 7 Gen 6 4K processor, and while perhaps not the most exciting upgrade, it is the TV's brain. And this year we're looking at better upscaling, improved local dimming control and contrast, plus better motion handling and deep learning AI optimizations. It also controls the automatic brightness and sound levels depending on the type of content you're watching, and as usual, here in the AI service settings, we have picture, brightness, genre selection, and sound AI modes, where the TV will auto-detect and give you the best settings based on what you're watching. Or if you prefer, you can just turn it all off. But one of the most important parts of the processor's job is how it manages local dimming, because having tons of dimming zones is kind of pointless unless you have a processor that can use them optimally. So with this and its mini LED backlight, we have around 30,000 or so LEDs projecting the light out. So actually on a 10% window on this screen with an HDR content, we're looking at about 1250 nits of brightness, which is definitely one of the brightest TVs you can get outside of the latest OLEDs. And actually this is split into around 2,500 or so dimming zones. It does vary based on the size of the TV, and all that, as I say, is managed and optimized by the processor. And so each zone can be then dimmed individually. which means the TV and the processor has more granular control over which areas are bright and dark, which helps to reduce light bleed in darker areas of the scene, meaning deeper blacks and better contrast, especially with HDR content. Now, of course, OLEDs with their per pixel dimming still have the advantage when it comes to perfect contrast and blacks, but the QNED is brighter than all but the top-end OLEDs, and image retention, aka burn-in, won't ever be an issue here. Not that I've ever experienced that with my OLEDs. And so I am a big fan of Mini LED, especially in more affordable TVs. And while a big TV is never going to be exactly cheap, they're a good balance of size, image quality, and price. Now, to my eye, image quality is fantastic, particularly if you're watching Dolby Vision or HDR10 content. Although, obviously, without last year's model next to it, side by side, it's kind of hard to tell just how much different or better this year is. But it's still a phenomenal TV in terms of overall picture quality. I mean, just look at it. And with that new stand, those really nice and slim bezels around the edge, and also a pretty decent anti-reflective coating, it's a lovely TV. Now, one of the new features I mentioned earlier is this personalized picture wizard. So you can go into it in the settings menu, it will give you a sort of few A/B tests, you say which one you prefer, and then at the end it will create this custom profile for you. Now, right now I have it in Expert Bright. I do quite like this mode. I usually go between Expert Bright, Expert Dark, or the Filmmaker modes. But if I go along here, you can see this is my cool and balanced personalized picture profile. It's going to be different for everyone. You may not like this, and you can of course stick with the regular presets, but it's a nice new option to have. It's also a heck of a TV if you're into your games as well. I've got my PS5 hooked up here via the HDMI 2.1 port, and it supports up to 120 frames per second. We've got that 120 refresh, although the game also has to support that. We have FreeSync Premium VRR, which helps smooth out your frame rate and also reduce screen tearing. We have HGig support, which is a fancy technology that sort of optimizes the HDR of the game to the dynamic range of your TV. Or is it the way around? Either way, it's a good feature to have. And also auto low latency mode, which is what you'd want. So when it detects a game input like a PS5 console, then it actually turns off a lot of that background processing to give you the fastest response time and lowest latency possible. So if you want a big, bright, and fast gaming experience, these QNED TVs are actually a pretty good choice. And as I mentioned earlier, you can always go down the cloud gaming route if you install the GeForce Now app, which lets you stream your PC game libraries up to 4K directly onto the TV. LG's WebOS 23 is just as slick and easy to use as ever, plus it's identical to the UI that you get on LG TVs that cost 2 or 3 times as much. We get all the usual streaming service suspects, and there's a new game quick card here on the home screen, which gives you a gaming focus list of apps like Twitch and GeForce Now all in one place. And as ever, I'm a big fan of LG's Magic Remote, which comes bundled with the TV. As for sound quality, well, it's surprisingly not bad. There is bass up to a point, and vocals and music are clear, plus it gets pretty loud, although I'd still recommend pairing it with a good soundbar to get the best experience. So the 2023 LG QNED MiniLED 86 TV is a nice little refinement this year. Nothing groundbreaking, but the new stands, the latest version of WebOS, the new processor, all nice little upgrades. And overall, it's a terrific TV for movies, watching sports, gaming, and I really do like WebOS and also the Magic Remote. Now, if you fancy checking this out for yourself, I will leave a link in the description below. And if you've got any questions about this, drop a comment as well. I'll do my best to get back to you. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time right here on the Tech Chat.